Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast, where I talk to artists and music fans to explore how music connects us through great stories and experiences. Brought to you by the Listening Room Network. Today's guest, West, my friend. Welcome, Eden, Alex, and Jeff to the Fran Snyder Podcast. Great to meet you after, years and years of emails. Is that about right?
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So what's it like? You guys are way up north. We just had our first cold spell here in St. Petersburg. I think it went down to 72 Fahrenheit, which is probably 7,000 Celsius. I forget, but
something like that.
How are you guys faring up there?
It's pouring rain, which is sort of normal for right now. We live in Victoria, British Columbia, so if it snows once in a year, that's sort of a big event, and it's just mostly rain.
Gotcha. And are all three of you from Victoria or that region, or
we're all from British Columbia, but none of us from Victoria. Alex and I grew up outside Vancouver, BC, in Langley, and Eden grew up farther north in the province.
Okay. And how did you guys meet? Was it a music school thing, or?
Yeah, the University of Victoria. But Alex and Jeff have known each other since they were really little.
Yeah, we went to the same school from grade 1 to 12.
Oh, wow. So long time buddies.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. So we got guitar, mandolin, and accordion, as all Canadian bands should have. And what's really distinctive about you guys is all three of you sing, and there's just beautiful harmonies. I was listening to some of your stuff with the orchestra. And it's a really sort of striking sound. For me, it's like there's like shades of almost like Manhattan Transfer and some of Bjork's stuff. It's like there's a super cool vibe to what you guys are doing. At least the newer stuff that I was just listening to. It's really fun. So is this a sound? Are you guys sort of experimenting, or is this just a natural evolution of what you guys have been doing all along?
I feel like, I guess maybe it's kind of an evolution of it, because each of our albums, we've always had a little bit of like extra stuff added. Like we've always had the three of us, but we'd maybe have some drums and some bass, and let's add some strings to one or two of the songs. And then that sounds cool. So the next album, we're like, okay, let's add some brass and maybe do like a larger ensemble on another one of the songs. And then each album, it just kind of felt like there's a bit more. And then we eventually thought we should just do a whole orchestra thing, because that would be really fun and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think what you're picking up on too is that there's a lot of diverse musical influences in the band. Like we all have classical music degrees on instruments we don't play in the band. And we've all played in different kinds of ensembles with different kinds of musical backgrounds. We all listen to kind of different music, and there's overlap. So a lot of that kind of wove into the album. And then the arranger for the album, Adrian Dolan, also is like quirky and eclectic in his writing, and definitely likes to reference things. It's funny too that you mentioned Manhattan Transfer, because there's like one specific harmony when we were in rehearsal and we didn't have a harmony written, and I said, Jeff, write me Manhattan Transfer vocals, and he was like, on it, and he did it. We were all like laughing hilariously. We're like, that's perfect. So yeah, it shows up.
So what is that element, Jeff? Is that a particular sort of interval set that makes something sound like Manhattan Transfer?
Yeah, I just kind of made it up, and what felt like that, and I think it was a lot of extensions, like flat nines and sharp 13s and that kind of thing. So I guess a sharp 13 is just a 7, sharp 11s.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of sort of extensions that are altered.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, because I only got a glimpse of the newer stuff, the first couple songs on your Bandcamp, and that's kind of what I was drawing from on that comparison. So talk to me a little bit about this is the COVID era, and everybody's having to adjust. And you mentioned some of the silver linings for you guys this year, finding new ways to connect with audiences. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing. I'm sure that includes some live stream, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've done some just live stream only concerts, and then we've also had some success doing concerts for small groups, as per our provincial guidelines, so outdoors, separated, hand sanitizer everywhere, people wearing masks, and, but then also live streaming it. So we kind of have like two audiences enjoying virtually and in person. And then that's been really fun. We had a concert that the city, we had planned to, initially it was going to be downtown in Victoria at this park, a couple hundred people would normally be there. But the city, it honored those contracts and instead did little pop-up concerts around the city that weren't promoted. So we just showed up in a square and played for an hour at lunchtime as people walked by. So there've been a lot of pretty cool things. Jeff recently did a classical accordion opera performance for small groups of 40 people spaced out. I don't know, Alex has started doing choir rehearsals. This is beyond our band, but there've been a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
And we did some birthday parties this summer outside, and a couple of front porch concerts. And I think our most recent online one was a Zoom one. So there's kind of lots of different ways of doing it. And then we've also done a couple choir things. So we were supposed to do a concert in June with a local choir. And then obviously that didn't happen. So we recorded parts for a song that they were doing, and they put it all together to make a virtual choir. And then just this last weekend, we did a workshop with another choir that's all across Canada. So just a new virtual choir. And we wrote a new song for the project, and that'll be coming out at the end of November.
Nice. Do the three of you live together?
Eden and I live together.
And George Michael, the cat.
That's okay. I heard you say George Michael a minute ago. I didn't know who you're referring to.
Yeah. He recently discovered what the hammers on a piano do. So we might have to kick him out here in a minute.
No, it's fine.
He was playing yesterday, and he was like chasing every hammer around.
Nice. So how long have you guys been with Listening Room Network? I know it's been several years. Do you recall?
I think 2012 or 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've also done some touring with Home Roots, an organization we're super friendly with. Mm-hmm. I guess when was your last tour with them? What part of the country were you guys doing?
That was January of last year, so almost 2 years ago. It was in northern BC and northern Alberta, so it was about 30 below the whole time, I think.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit or Celsius, it's about the same.
Yeah.
It was cool enough anyway.
Yeah, I did a March tour of Alberta, thanks to Mitch years ago, and I'm originally from Montreal, Canada, but I've been in Florida for a super long time. So that was a taste of some old medicine there. March in Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm. And it was very rural as well. So we're like going on these range roads where the snow is higher than the bumper and having to just kind of push through. Did you
have to stop and shovel in places to get through? Because I know some of those Home Roots destinations are hard to get to, even in good weather.
We got stuck once or twice.
I don't think we ever had to actually shovel, but we did have a few houses where one house we had to back out of the driveway because it was so slippery the car couldn't do it the normal way, and another house they had to tow us up the driveway in their truck.
Nice.
It was so icy.
And when we were going down range roads, I remember, and the snow was higher. We had a car with winter tires, but just a car, sort of mini van thing. And the snow was higher than the car. So it was sort of one of those things where you can't stop because then you won't be able to start again. And there's no cell service and so yeah, it just sort of kept going and plowing through the snow with your momentum and hope that you don't have to stop before you get there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then after a few hours of that, we got to a regular road, and then the car was being super weird and noisy and stuff. And what's going on? And there's all these weird low noises. And so we took it to a shop, and they lifted it up, and there was I don't know how much ice just on the bottom of the car, and they just had to spend a while chipping and defrosting it.
Wow. Just like they have to defrost the wings on the airplanes.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you've had a couple interesting experiences with house concerts. I always love to hear the story of artists playing a nudist resort for the first time. Hopefully, this nudist house concert that you guys played, hopefully that wasn't a surprise. Did they warn you ahead of time?
No, yeah, we knew ahead of time. It was in rural Idaho. From the concerts in your home website, and yeah, they're super friendly. Actually, they told us that since we played there, we're welcome to come and stay for free anytime.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was Thanksgiving dinner.
It was super fun. They had soft serve ice cream and because it was a resort, it was pretty fun. They
And
Yeah.
naked sound tech.
Naked sound
The
tech.
sound was really good. I remember that.
My favorite part was we there was this whole setup for selling things because nobody has wallets, right? So it was all like charged to the room, and we sold one T-shirt to this older lady, and the next morning she was wearing our T-shirt. Only our T-shirt, but she was wearing our T-shirt. We're like, yes, we can get a nudist to buy a T-shirt. Like, we're doing well.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're really thin on pockets. That's great. Yeah. and just to be clear, people can make all kinds of assumptions about what a nudist house concert might be like. The musicians are not required to be nude.
No,
it was optional. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories. I wasn't there, but I don't know if you know Randall Williams. He was playing a nudist festival. I think somewhere in Virginia. Just this gigantic, imagine, 50,000, 30,000 people, whatever, out in a big open field. But it's like a whole weekend of nudism in some park. And of course, they have music, and the musicians are not required to be nude on stage, but Randall was compelled to do just that, just to do it, as an act of bravery. And you would imagine that you'd be thrilled to be playing a large instrument if you're playing nude on the stage. But legend has it that he decided to put his guitar down and sing an a cappella number. just to go all the way. So that had to be quite a moment. I've heard just wonderful things about that resort, and all the musicians who've played there absolutely had a great time. But it is just kind of an eye-opening possibility. Like, who'd have thought that would happen?
Yeah, I didn't really see that coming when I started becoming a musician.
If you are enjoying this podcast, can you pause for a moment to like, review, and subscribe? Please help the world discover our music community and the wonderful artists we support. Your feedback makes a difference. So tell me about your house concert tour, Victoria, that you guys organize every year. Who came up with that idea, and did it start off ambitiously, or was it something that just grew organically?
The first year we did it, I think we were getting ready to start recording our third album. And I think just a lot of the songs we were working with, we hadn't had as much time to tour with them and really practice and finesse them. And so we really wanted to get them all polished before hitting to the studio. So we decided to, let's just try and do a whole bunch of shows really quickly in the next month before we have our studio time booked. Let's just ask friends around Victoria, hey, can we come play in your living room? Just invite a bunch of friends over, and it'll be just a by donation thing, because we just want to get these songs out and practice them. And I think we had feedback sheets.
It was so wild.
Yeah, we had a big box of pens and a sheet with the name of every song, and people could write thoughts about the song, so we could see what people liked, what people didn't like, make any changes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, as a song honing practice, it was really great. But I remember the next year we were coming towards that time, and we remembered that was just really fun. Should we just do that again? Because in January, everybody is broke from Christmas and hungover from New Year's. Nobody is booking traveling tours. Right. So we thought it'd be fun to just have that be a January thing. Just do a bunch of shows around the city with people we know.
Yeah, people seem to really appreciate something smaller like that after Christmas. It's cozy and warm and intimate, and people are excited to do something smaller like that.
And have you stuck with the policy of inviting people to critique the shows?
No, that was a one-time thing.
People were really, really nice, I think. Like, yeah, it was very constructive if there was negative.
Yeah, I would just think that, you listen differently when you're taking notes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it would, even though the feedback would still be valuable, I think you're inviting a different type of listening, and people I don't think are as inclined to enjoy it as much, because it's more like, okay, I have to provide some helpful feedback, so they put on the analytical hat instead of the connecting a little more emotionally with the material. That I'm guessing, but that's
Yeah.
I wonder if you felt that.
I don't know if I remember that, but that's a good point in that, like, I remember my brain before I got a music degree and then after, and my experience of music is very different, right? And I can still connect with the emotion of a song and enjoy myself through an evening. But there's often this like running commentary in the back of my head of like, oh, listen to that interesting arrangement, or oh, I don't know about that interval, it wasn't tuned so great, or like, oh, I wonder what they were drawing from lyrics wise here. Like a lot of thinking as opposed to feeling when I'm listening. So
Yeah, you see, you get a lot more detail. The more you know, the more you notice, sort of a thing.
yeah, exactly.
It still doesn't explain how people can watch golf on TV, but so you guys, you mentioned the doing a video with a virtual choir, with all the artists that are experimenting with different ways to do meaningful and fun and surprising stuff online. Tell me about that idea, how it came about, and was it ridiculously hard to pull off?
Well, yeah, I mean, so we're doing this project called Sing the North, and the person who is organizing it just reached out to us and asked if we could do it. So we're not running the project, we're just doing one section, and she's sort of getting a different band or a different composer from different parts of Canada and doing different sessions. And so on our end, we finished up a song. I finished up a song that I was writing, and we came together as a band, and we sort of wrote our parts, and then I also wrote choir parts and did the scores. And so people who sign up for the project get scores, they get recordings of the band playing, and then those spliced over with individual, like, here's the band plus the alto part, here's the band plus the soprano part. So they have all these practice tracks. And so it's kind of like this like flipped rehearsal model where you like come to the Zoom meeting potentially already knowing a lot of the material from these rehearsal tracks, but then you get a chance to sing along with the band at home on mute. You're muted, and to talk about like the meaning behind the song and ask questions and to hear examples of parts that you couldn't quite get. So yeah, we did 2 Zoom sessions with the choir, and then the organizer also did some sessions with them, some sectionals and stuff, and then everybody's gonna videotape themselves singing and send it in, and it'll all get put together into a song. And then we'll have a Zoom cast party. And, yeah.
Nice. All right. So you guys aren't sort of the project leaders on this. This is something you're participating in, so it's a little bit less pressure, I imagine.
Yeah, which is kind of nice, and to not have to worry about doing the video editing and that kind of thing. That isn't really our skill set, that we still do sometimes anyway.
Yeah. So tell me about the upcoming album that you guys are working on. It's a totally different project from the video, right?
We're not like majorly working on an upcoming album right now.
Or you have a newish album out. I'm sorry, I read it. So tell me about the new album, the most recent album, I guess is the better question.
Yeah, for sure. So it's called In Constellation, and it's kind of our most grandiose, whimsical contribution to the artistic world thus far. Kind of, definitely. Like we had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, it is fully orchestrated and also has choir as well throughout it. I don't know, what else do you guys want to say about it?
It feels kind of weird imagining having done that like a year ago where things are now. It's like, I mean, for me, it is like, I remember the first time I came back over here for band practice and like it was maybe May or something. It's like, this feels so weird to like be in another house. And yet in like last spring, or I guess when we did the concert in the fall, we had over 100 people crammed onto this little stage in a performance hall. So like, it feels kind of weird to just compare where these two things were.
Yeah, I feel really fortunate that we weren't 6 months later in the production of the album, and because we would have planned this huge concert and with the symphony and choir and everything, and then it would have just gotten canceled. Like, I feel for all the artists who had to cancel big shows like that, big CD releases and stuff.
Because of the complexity of this album, did it take much longer than the work that you've released before?
I think, well, it's a shorter album.
Oh, okay.
So I think it maybe averaged out to about the same amount of recording time, but per song it was definitely much longer.
Yeah.
There's definitely this moment of sitting with the producer and watching him roll through all of the tracks of all the different instruments, and him just being like, "Where's that French horn?" Like, it just keeps going and going. So yeah, on that side of things, it was pretty complex for sure.
And then the production of the concert as well was a lot more complex. We had to actually get a stage manager because we're like, we can't be dealing with this many people and also performing.
Yeah.
And so for 2021, to wrap up, I guess, what's on the books for you guys that you feel relatively confident about? Are you guys going to Europe?
I don't know if it's anything that we feel confident about. I mean, we were supposed to be doing a Europe tour in May.
Yeah.
So now we're wondering, okay, can we do it a year later in May or June? And we're sort of a little unsure if that.
Oh, you were supposed to go last May, and it's okay.
Yeah,
so it's not back on the books yet. You're wondering if it's possible.
Yeah, we're just looking into scheduling it now, but kind of in a casual way. Like, hey, venues, are you going to be doing shows? Do you have any idea when do we make a plan for this? Do we try and make a plan now and see if it gets canceled? Do we wait till March to see if we can book a tour last minute?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But besides that, I think, we might start thinking about another album. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I floated after we did the whole symphony album was, and we've had all these albums in the past with various extra instrumentation, was being really strict and doing one that's only the three of us.
Right.
Because every album has always had something extra. So, what would it be like if we made one that was just us?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Maybe now is the good time to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess kind of, be a great example, just kind of going with the flow, going with what this year is giving you, right? It's like, okay, you got to stay in tight groups and, do things on probably a smaller budget because you don't know how soon you can be touring again.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Recently we've started working on a couple new songs, so we'll see where that goes.
Excellent. Well, it's great to finally meet you guys, sort of face to face. I probably as face to face as we can get with the distance between us. I think you guys are probably 3,000 miles away or something like that.
Give or take.
Ish, yeah. So anyway, I'm wishing you guys good luck with the CD. We'll link to your website and to your Bandcamp to send people there to check it out. You have any parting words for what you're hoping for in 2021?
Everybody to be healthy and happy and safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're here. All right. Take care. Wes, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Fran Snyder Podcast. Please subscribe, like, or share to help your friends discover this community. Also, I'd love to hear from you with any feedback or suggestions you have. And if you'd like to learn more about house concerts and listening rooms around the world, please visit and join listeningroomnetwork.com. You can email me from there. See you next time on the Fran Snyder Podcast.